Carham is a small and isolated Northumbrian community situated in an odd corner in the far northeastern extremities of England. As you drive through Carham, there is little time to consider the people and events that formed the history and heritage of this picturesque and immaculately maintained village. But what history could this remote village possibly be hiding? And is there any evidence of Carham's long and sometimes turbulent past still to be found amongst these neat buildings and open fields? Carham is unique in that it lies both south and north of the border. The border runs along the River Tweed, a few hundred yards to the north and also to the west of the village. A short distance upstream, the border leaves the Tweed, and for 30 miles it meanders south and east before resuming westwards to the Solway Firth. For 1,000 years, Carham has held a highly exposed position at the tip of a salient of English territory. There is nothing immediate to suggest that Carham is indeed an historic site. The village buildings are perhaps not modern, but they are certainly far from being ancient. And at first glance, the surrounding fields show nothing obvious to suggest past structures or major conflict. At ground level, it is difficult to make out any detailed surface anomalies or patterns that might suggest earlier occupation. But we can see ancient river terraces dating back to the Ice Age and evidence of ongoing erosion showing that the course of the River Tweed is still shifting northwards at this point. In recent years, new investigative tools have been developed, and these have enabled a much more detailed and accurate study of the ground. Rannoch Daly, a member of the Bernicia Studies Group, explains the use of LiDAR.
LiDAR uses light waves, just like radar uses radio waves. It produces a very detailed picture of the surface of the Earth. At Carham, you can see the lines where the river used to run, probably some centuries ago. On the flattish part of the field, you can see the ancient pattern of the farming, the rig and furrow pattern, the ripples in the surface of the soil. There's a quite noticeable oblong shape, which has a funnel leading down to the ancient course of the river.
Another recent development has been the use of drones, which has made aerial photography much simpler and also much more affordable. From a height, we can clearly see rig and furrow markings, ancient tracks and footpaths are visible, possibly showing indications of ancient drove roads. And could this square marking show the site of a Carham tower? The rectangle marking is noticeable at ground level, but much more distinct from a height. To see what might lie under the ground surface, we needed even more sophisticated equipment. Towards the end of the Carham project, we were extremely fortunate to be offered help from the Bernicia Studies Group and the use of their magnetometer. Again, Rannoch Daly explains the operation of the equipment and the results it produces.
Magnetometer measures tiny variations in the magnetic field in the soil. All soil contains small particles of iron which align with the Earth's magnetic field. If that is disturbed, the magnetometer can pick up those disturbances. So if you dig a ditch, it'll show you the line of the ditch, even from 1,000 years ago. If there's a stone in the soil, they'll pick up the magnetic field from the stone. And if that's the old foundations of a building, they'll show you where the building used to be. The magnetometer produces a digital record of the magnetic variations. A computer program translates that into an image, and this is what it looks like when you see the finished product. At Carham we looked at two areas. We divided it up into grids of 20 square metres each, and we did over 20 of those grids. So there was over 8,000 square metres of survey. The survey covered two areas. Firstly, the large enclosure by the river terrace. We established that that was not a building. Secondly, the area to the north of the church. And we found lots of remains of buildings in that area. They are probably stone foundations of buildings. Some of them appear to be small buildings, maybe just one room. Others look as if they're much more substantial, with several rooms, and there are several buildings. The fuzzy marks show possibly wooden buildings or older buildings, and that might suggest the early medieval period, going back perhaps to the time of St. Cuthbert.
Although Carham is a small and isolated community in a far-flung corner of England, our investigations have given glimpses of an intriguing past that belies this serene and unruffled facade. Evidence of an ecclesiastic presence has been found reaching back to the 7th century and linked to St. Cuthbert, the patron saint of the north. The Augustinian priory, dedicated to the saint, was close to an intersection of routes and a river crossing place. It would have been a place of worship and also a place for travellers to rest on their journeys. The Cuthbert connection made Carham both a tempting target for attack, but perhaps more significantly, a place worth defending. When the epicentre of military power was at Bamborough, Carham was within Northumbrian defensive capabilities, and this may help explain the unlikely promontory of English territory. The use of modern investigative tools has given an insight into the past that was previously unavailable to us. It has given some answers, but inevitably has posed many more questions. But perhaps our most important conclusion has been that Carham still holds many secrets and investigations must continue.